Hello there, Rosewood Gaming here. I'm going to be using this chart that I was shown to essentially rank my favorite Pokemon per type per generation, as well as a few additional categories off here to the side and bottom of the chart. I'm not going to do a huge intro because I want to get right into the video, so I'm going to hop right in. Normal type, Eevee. I really love Eevee. It's been one of my favorite Pokemon ever since I was a little kid. I actually have several Eevee and Eeveelution plushies in my room because I really like Eevee. It's cute, it's adorable, and it probably would have been the mascot if not for Pikachu. Fire type, Arcanine. I've used Arcanine a lot competitively. Intimidate plus Will-O-Wisp is a nice combo for damage control, and access to Heat Wave and Snarl just means, again, it has very good utility both offensively and defensively. Water type, as much as I would like to say Squirtle, Psyduck, or Slowbro, I'm going to go Gyarados. My reasoning for this is Gyarados has actually come in clutch for me a lot in my Nuzlocke lately. Just because you can get it very early on, and having Intimidate just to reduce the amount of damage your team takes overall is always very helpful. Grass type, Venusaur. Every time I do a Kanto playthrough, besides the very first time I played, because I did go with Squirtle the first time, I go with Venusaur's evolutionary line because Grass Poison is very good in the Kanto region. Also, it's one of my favorite Pokemon to use competitively just because Chlorophyll Sleep Powder is a very strong strategy. Electric, my boy Raichu. I love Raichu. He's amazing, actually. I've used him quite a bit throughout my playthroughs in Kanto whenever I have him available. Just very fun to use. It's also nice and competitive to a degree, with like Fake Out, Endeavor, Nuzzle, Lightning Rod, etc. Ice type, I'm tempted to go with Jinx because not a lot of people like Jinx. I think she deserves some love, to be honest. But I'm gonna go Dugong. My reasoning, my last playthrough of Pokemon Fire Red before my DS broke, unfortunately, I actually used a Dugong because my Lapras died right off the bat. It got crit, unfortunately. And it paired well with Zapdos and Mr. Mime to form a strong core alongside Venusaur, and I just easily cleaned out the Pokemon League. Fighting type, wasn't really a big fan of any of these, if I'm being honest, but if I had to choose one, I guess I'd say Hitmonlee, just because I've used it more. Poison type, easy Weezing. I've enjoyed Weezing ever since I was a little kid. He's one of my favorites from the anime. But I've also been using him a lot lately ever since Generation 8, thanks to access to neutralizing gas. I actually have a female shiny a friend gave me that I named Coffee, because I like coffee. Ground, easy Nidoqueen. Similar to Weezing, I love it from the anime, but I've also used it a lot in VGC as it's the only female exclusive Pokemon with rivalry. So it just helps out against opposing rivalry teams, since more often than not, people would make their Pokemon female to ignore rivalry. And this was like the best counter to that strategy. Flying type, Farfetch'd. It's a bit of an odd duck, pun intended, but I've used it a lot in my Pokemon Fire Red playthroughs just because Fly and Cut, not only are they stab moves, but they're also HMs, so I don't have to worry about that. And besides Surf and Strength, they're like the only required HMs. And Gyarados could always run Surf. Psychic type, I would say Alakazam, but I've actually never used Alakazam. So I'm actually going to say Mr. Mime. I like Mr. Mime a lot, to be honest. It's probably my favorite Kanto Psychic type, thinking about it. I've used it in my Fire Red playthrough. It was actually on my team for my last Fire Red Nuzlocke, as I mentioned, before my DS broke. Just really love him. Psychic Fairy's a nice typing. Though he didn't have Fairy type back then, but you know what I mean. Bug type, easy Butterfree. I really love Butterfree from the anime, and I was actually very sad when Ash had to release his. Rock type, Golem. Oop, did not mean to click that. The reason for Golem, I've used it a lot on the Smogon singles ladder lately on Pokemon Showdown. I actually like it as a lead. Sturdy with Stealth Rock means I can always get up hazards, and with the Cust-Up Berry, I can get off a quick explosion or hit hard with Stone Edge or Earthquake before it faints. Ghost type, easy Gengar. I've always used Gengar in like every game I could get it in, just because I love Gengar. Dragon type, as much as I would like to say Dragonite, I'm actually going to go Dragonair. Not for any particular reason, I just think it's pretty. We only got glitches for Gen 1 Dark, of course. Substitute, I guess. Steel, Magnemite. I love Magnemite, to be honest. I've used it a lot in Little Cup. Magnet Pull is a very nice ability in Little Cup if there's a lot of Steel types. And if not, you can just go with Analytic and just get boosted damage. So, it's always got something it can do. Fairy, Clefairy. I've used it a lot in VGC. There's pretty much no other reason other than that it's cute. Starter. I really want to put Squirtle here because it was the very first starter I ever used, but I've honestly used Venusaur a lot more than any of these. Also, surprised Pikachu and Eevee are here, I guess because of the Let's Go games. Gimmick form, Mega Charizard Y. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I love Sun teams, I like Trick Room teams. Charizard allowed me to mix the two together pretty easily for the first time in Gen 6, I think. Legendary, Zapdos. I know it's basic, but it's because I've used it a lot in VGC. Favorite overall, Eevee. Gen 2 Normal type. As much as I like Hoot Hoot, I'd rather say that for Flying type, so I'm going to put Smeargle. I've used it the most in competitive Pokemon, and if not for that, I'd probably say either Miltank or Furret. I do genuinely love Miltank a lot. Fire type, Entei. I love the Entei movie. Water, Suicune. Pokemon Crystal, one of my all-time favorite games from the Pokemon franchise, so I think it deserves this. Grass type, I love Jumpluff a lot. I especially like its shiny, but I'm going to go Meganium. Meganium doesn't get enough love, in my opinion. Electric type, easy Ampharos. I love Ampharos. Jasmine should have used it on her team. I know it's not a steel type, but she cared about it and took care of it in the lighthouse in the games. Like, why couldn't they give it to her? Ice, easy Sneasel. Sneasel has probably been my all-time favorite Pokemon ever since I first caught one. But nowadays, there's only like one Pokemon I like more than Sneasel, and that'll be shared at the end of the video, so watch until the end. Don't skip ahead. Fighting type, Heracross. I've never really used any of the fighting types from Gens 1 or 2, but Heracross I did love from the Pokemon anime, and I do kind of like its Mega Evolution to a degree, just because Skill Link with Pin Missile and Rock Blast is actually pretty decent offensive coverage, in my opinion. Poison type, Ariados. I like Ariados as a hazard lead, since it does get Toxic Spikes and Sticky Web, so it just really becomes a detriment to the opponent if you get rid of their only hazard removal. Ground type, Wooper. It's a derp. That's about it. Flying type, Hoot Hoot. It was actually the first Johto Pokemon I caught in any Johto playthrough, if you don't include the starter. Psychic type, Wobbuffet. It's so iconic from the anime, like I can't even imagine Team Rocket without Wobbuffet at this point. Bug type, easy Scizor. I love Scizor. I've used it a lot competitively, just because Technician boosted attacks are pretty strong. Rock type, Tyranitar. I've used it a lot on the Smogon ladder with Pursuit and Stealth Rock. Just an annoying Pokemon. Ghost type, it's the only option, but Mischievous. But luckily, I actually do genuinely like Mischievous. I think Gen 2 actually did pretty well with, like, baby Pokemon. I know technically they weren't babies back then, but I'll let that slide. Dragon type, unfortunately, the only option is Kingdra. Don't get me wrong, I think Kingdra's neat. I do like seahorses, but Juan from Pokemon Emerald made me start to dislike Kingdra due to Rest, Chesto Berry, Double Team shenanigans. I don't actually think it had Chesto Berry, but it might have. Might as well have. Dark type, easy Houndoom. I just really like Houndoom. It's a Hellhound, and I like Hellhounds. Steel, Steelix. Jasmine is maybe my second favorite gym leader of all time, right behind Roxanne, and so I'm putting Steelix here. Fairy type, Marill. Never used it, except for one game to get Azumarill. But besides that, I'm mainly putting it here just because of the anime. I really liked Marill from the anime. Starter, Meganium. It needs the love. Gimmick form, Mega Heracross. As I mentioned before, I like it offensively, though its typing could be better. Legendary, Entei, or maybe Suicune. No, I'm going to leave Entei for now. I might swap that to Suicune later. Favorite overall has to be Sneasel. As I mentioned before, prior to one Pokemon getting added to the games, Sneasel was my all-time favorite. Gen 3 normal type, Zigzagoon. I've just used it a lot in every Hoenn playthrough, simply because it gets the good majority of the necessary HMs, besides maybe Fly, and I don't even think Fly was required. Fire, easy Blaziken. I love Blaziken. It's a very cool Pokemon. It's like KFC, but instead of it being Kentucky Fried Chicken, it's Kentucky Fighting Chicken. Water type, Milotic. Wallace is my third favorite gym leader of all time, but I also just genuinely love Milotic. It's a very pretty and very beautiful Pokemon, and I've used it quite a bit, especially Marvel scale sets. Grass type, Shiftry. I know it's not the most popular grass type from Hoenn, but I genuinely like Shiftry, and I'm actually happy it got a buff in Gen 9 with the ability Wind Rider, because now it's actually pretty decent. I've been pairing it with Prankster or Gale Wings Tailwind setters, and it just works out very well. Also, a friend of mine recently traded me a shiny one, so that made me very happy. As much as I like Plusle and Minun, they're literally my cheer squad, some of my most iconic Pokemon to use casually. I'm going to go Manectric. I've used it the most competitively of the Gen 3 electric types, simply because Lightning Rod is a very good ability, and when it Mega Evolves, it gains Intimidate, which again is a very good ability, and it's not hurt by Intimidate itself, and it pairs well with Pelipper, one of my favorite flying types from the entire games, but I don't think I could put Pelipper in flying, because it's got to compete with Swellow and Salamence. But it pairs nicely with Pelipper thanks to Thunder. Ice-type, Spheal. Anyone who doesn't put Spheal here, they're just wrong, because it's Spheal. How can you not like Spheal? Fighting type, Hariyama. I've used it the most of the Gen 3 fighting types besides Blaziken, and the reason for that is it's a very nice Trick Room Pokemon. Poison. I don't know if I want to put Dustox or Seviper. I can't put Dustox and Bug because I have to go with Wurmple. I love Wurmple, but I kind of want to go with Seviper for now. Ground type. I really like Flygon, and I like Trapinch. Why does Gen 3 have to be so hard? Well, probably because Gen 3 is like the first generation of Pokemon I played, so I have fond memories of Gen 3, because my first games were Pokemon Fire Red and Pokemon Sapphire, so I really love Gen 3. It's maybe my favorite generation, if I have to be honest. I've used all of these, surprisingly, but I think if I had to choose one, I'm gonna go with Flygon. It was really a toss-up between Flygon and Claydol and Trapinch, just because I've used those three more than the other ground types in this generation. Flying type, it's hard for me to choose between Salamence, Swellow, and Pelipper, because I really like all three. I would put Altaria here because it was on my champion team for Pokemon Violet, but it's not really my favorite compared to the other flying types. Salamence is interesting because it does have Intimidate, but I think I'm going to go with Swellow, simply because I've used it a lot in Nuzlocke. Psychic, easy Latios, and while I'm at it, easy Latios for Dragon. Rock type, I'm going to say Cradily, just because Storm Drain is a very nice ability to have, especially when you're a special attacker with the grass typing. So you just get stronger, and you just counter the grass types that would threaten things like Blaziken. Ghost type, Dusclops. I've been using it a lot in competitive Pokemon, especially ever since Eviolite came out, because it's a good Trick Room setter. Dark, easy Mightyena. It's a good Pokemon. I really like this Pokemon. Game Freak, if you're watching this, please give my Iena an evolution, or like a Mega Evolution. Give it something, its stats suck. Steel-type Metagross. Steven, one of my favorite champions, maybe right behind Cynthia, to be honest. Actually, no, I think I like Steven more than Cynthia, because he was like one of the first champions I ever played against, if you don't include Blue. Fairy-type Gardevoir. Obvious why. Starter, Blaziken. Gimmick form, Mega Manectric. As I mentioned before, I really like Manectric because it's just a good Pokemon, both in and out of its Mega Evolution. Legendary, Latias. Favorite overall for this generation. Normally, I would say Milotic because it's very pretty, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm kind of tempted to say Manectric. I've actually been really loving this Pokemon a lot lately. It's just hard to choose between, like, base form and mega form, which is like a big issue. I think I'm actually gonna say base form Manectric, but I'm gonna let this count for both the base form and the mega form. So you can complain all you want in the comments below. It's my list. I say this counts as both regular and mega Manectric because it's hard for me to put them both there because I like them both equally. I don't like the Mega more than Mega Charizard, though. Mega Charizard Y is probably my all-time favorite Mega Evolution. Normal type, it's the God Bidoof. It learns every HM that's important to the game, except Defog. Fire type, Infernape. It's basic, but I love it. Water type, Gastrodon. It's cute. Also, I've used it a bit in competitive Pokemon for the same reason as Cradily, Storm Drain. Grass type, Easy Roserade. These are actually 3 of the Pokemon I used on my team throughout Sinnoh. Electric type, as much as I like Pachirisu, I'm going with Luxray. Just because rivalry with the Bolt Beam coverage of Ice Fang and Thunder Fang, or Supercell Slam nowadays, just hits like a truck. Ice type, I really love Weavile because I love Sneasel, but I have to go Glaceon. It's my favorite evolution. Fighting type, easy Lucario, and with an easy Toxicroak. I just love these 2 Pokemon. Ground type, that's an easy Gliscor, and honestly Garchomp for Dragon. Flying type, it's Staraptor. I know a lot of these are basic, but to be honest, Gen 4 didn't really have many Pokemon in the game. Pokemon Pearl really screwed over people who wanted to play the game. There was only like 2 fire types in the entire game, and the only one you're guaranteed if you're doing a Nuzlocke is Infernape, which is insane. Why did they do that? Psychic type, easy Cresselia. I love Trick Room teams, and Cresselia is maybe my favorite Trick Room setter. Bug type, Mothim. I like Mothim. I think he's cute. Rock type, Bastiodon. Ghost type, Giratina. Pokemon Platinum is probably by far the best Pokemon game of all time, in my opinion. Dark type, Darkrai. I would put Weavile here because I've used Weavile competitively, but The Rise of Darkrai is my all-time favorite Pokemon movie, so if I didn't put Darkrai here, that would be like a crime. Steel type, easy Bronzong, similar reasons to Cresselia. I love Trick Room teams, and it's a good Trick Room setter. Fairy type, Mime Jr. I do like Togekiss, but I really like Mr. Mime and Mime Jr. Starter, Infernape. Gimmick form, Mega Gallade. Not because it looks like it's a Yu-Gi-Oh player from like the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime or whatever. Actually, it does kind of look like that Alexander guy. But, I just like psychic types a lot, so having a physical psychic type is very rare, and I like Gallade because of that. Not more than Lucario, though, but I love Gallade. Favorite legendary? It's a toss-up between Giratina and Cresselia, if I'm being honest, but I'm going to go Cresselia just because I've used it a lot more for Trick Room, and honestly, that's pretty much the same reason why it's going over here. Gen 5 normal type, Audino. I do love Deerling a lot, but I've used Audino a lot in Pokemon Black and White, as well as the Black 2, White 2 games. Fire, It's either Volcarona or Reshiram, but I'll come back to this later after I see what they have in Bug and Dragon. Water type, easy Samurott. Favorite starter of Gen 5, not overall. Grass type, I'm going to put Lilligant here. I was thinking Amoonguss, but there's a reason for this. Because I want Amoonguss for poison, because I do like Scolipede, but I've used Amoonguss a lot more. And Whimsicott is the only fairy type in these games, even though it wasn't fairy back then. So Lilligant is the only other grass type besides Deerling and Maractus that I like in this generation. Electric type, I'm going to get this out of the way. Thundurus, Landorus, Tornadus. I play a lot of VGC. Of course these three are going to be here. What's wrong with you? Fighting type, easy Mienshao. And Ice, wasn't really big fan of any of the Ice types from this generation, but I'm going to go Kyurem. Psychic type, easy Gothitelle. Bug type, yeah, I'm going to put Volcarona here and Reshiram there. Rock, it's an easy Archeops. Ghost, Chandelure. I just like the gothic aesthetic of both Gothitelle and Chandelure, so that's why they're both here. Dragon type, I'm gonna go with Hydreigon. I like Hydreigon a lot. I've used Haxorus a lot thanks to Moldbreaker and Rivalry, but I just really like Haxorus. Levitate plus very good offensive coverage. It's just very nice to use competitively. Dark type, Zoroark. No question, I love Zoroark. Steel type, Pawniard. I love chess, and Pawniard is literally a pawn, which is the most important piece in chess besides the king. Not the most powerful, but it is very important. Starter, Samurott. Gimmick form, there's literally only just two options. I know there's all of this, but I'm not counting those. They're Star Studio Pokemon exclusives. So, Mega Audino, Landorus, and Landorus. I'm so funny. I love Landorus. I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for that in the comments now, if anyone's played VGC. Gen 6 normal type, Pyroar. It's not the most obvious pick, but it's a similar reason for Nidoqueen. It's one of the few Pokemon that can make good use of Rivalry if it's a female, simply because Fire and Normal is pretty okay coverage, especially nowadays since you can Terrasilize to a Ghost type. So you'll have Fire Ghost coverage, which is actually pretty good. It's one of the reasons why I like Chandelure. Fire type, Mega Charizard Y, there's no question. Water type, Greninja. I like ninjas. Naruto is one of my favorite anime, like maybe right behind One Piece. So I had to put Greninja here. I actually had a Greninja that I named Naruto. Grass type, Trevenant. I love Trevenant, actually. Harvest, Citrus Berry, Hornleech, Trick Room. It's just very good at setting it up. Very reliable at setting it up because it can't get faked out. And the fact that it can just keep healing itself. It's basically a tank. It's unstoppable. Electric type, Pikachu Bell. I like the Ice Electric coverage. Aurorus for Ice, just because the Aurora Borealis is my favorite natural phenomenon. Mega Gallade, because there really isn't any fighting type from Gen 6 I liked. Not Mega Dragalge, just Dragalge. I like Dragalge. I think it's very pretty. I really don't like any of the Gen 6 ground types, to be honest. Like, Mega Garchomp is kind of bad. I've never really used Primal Groudon. The only ones I've used before were, like, these three, and that was only once each to try a few things. So I'm going to put Steelix for the same reason why I have Steelix here. Jasmine is my second favorite gym leader of all time, so Mega Steelix. Flying type, easy Talonflame. Psychic type, it's a bit difficult, but I think I'm going to go with Meowstic. I like Delphox, don't get me wrong, but I've used Meowstic quite a bit lately as a screen setter, but sometimes also on more hyper-offensive teams as a Trick Room prisoner, since you can use Prankster and Prison to lock down Trick Room. Bug-type Vivian, I like it competitively. You can either go Friend Guard with Rage Powder or Compound Eyes with Sleep Powder and Hurricane, and you get the same results no matter what. Rock-type. It's a bit difficult because I had to choose between Tyrantrum and Deoncé, and I don't like Deoncé more than Sylveon, so I had to choose here. So I'm going to put Deoncé here. Ghost-type, it's either Mega Gengar or Mega Banette. I've used them both a lot, but I think I'm going to go Mega Gengar just because Perish Song plus Shadow Tag is just very, strong. Yeah, it's hard to keep it alive half the time, but if you can, it just works well in your favor. Dragon-type, that's an easy Goodra. I love Goodra. It's adorable. I actually have a plush right here next to me. Not going to show it in the camera, of course, because it's not important, but yeah. Dark-type, Mega Absol. I've used it in my playthrough. Wasn't very good, but it's cute. It should have gained the Fairy typing. Maybe then it would have been useful in VGC. Steel-type, easy Aegislash. I had one on my champion team for Pokemon Y. Fairy-type, as I mentioned before, there's no Fairy type I like more than Sylveon from this generation. Starter, Greninja. Again, Naruto. Mega, Charizard Y. Legendary, Deoncé. Can you guess who's the winner here? It's obvious. It's Mega Charizard Y. I like Sun teams. Gen 7. Easy Silvally. I like Gladion, and I also like Silvally because it's basically a legal version of Arceus, since it can do the same thing as Arceus. It just changes its type. So it literally can be built to fit on any team. Fire type, I'm going to go Salazzle simply because I'm putting Incineroar in Dark, because I don't really like any of the Dark types in this generation. Don't get me wrong, I like Ash Greninja, but not as much as Incineroar. Water type, Primarina. Favorite starter. Also, the Water Fairy typing is very nice, and I like using it on my Alola playthroughs. And I've been using it a lot in VGC lately with Perish Song or just Liquid Voice. Grass type, that's an easy Zarina. I like Zarina. Electric type, it's either Zeraora or Alolan Raichu, but I think I'm going to go with Alolan Raichu just because I've used it more competitively, especially alongside Tapu Koko. Ice type, easy Ninetales. I've loved Ninetales ever since I was a kid. Not more than Arcanine, of course, but when it got this regional variant, I was like, oh my gosh, I can finally use this Pokemon and not have it suck. Fighting type, Pheromosa. I think it's very pretty. It's very strong as well, just very weak on the defensive side. Poison type, Toxapex. I've used Stall in competitive singles. I'm not entirely proud of that, but you gotta do what you gotta do at times. Ground type, Mudsdale. Normally I would say Zygarde here, but Mudsdale has grown on me a lot thanks to Scarlet and Violet. Flying type, Minior. I don't know which color I would put, to be honest. I guess, the light blue one, but you can barely see that on the chart. So I'm going to just put the dark blue one, because at least then you can see it. Psychic type, Tapu Lele. I love Tapu Lele. I think she's actually very adorable, and I like the Psychic Fairy pairing in terms of dual typing. Bug type, Golisopod. That's very easy, because, my boy Guzma. Rock type is an easy midday Lycanroc. I have used sand teams before, especially a lot in Scarlet and Violet, since couldn't really use much, so I wanted to try a few new things. Just really like it. Accelerock to break Sash, and then Rock Slide to have Flinch. Yes, please. Ghost type, easy Lunala. I love Lunala. Maybe my all-time favorite legendary, besides maybe Ogerpon and Landorus. Dragon type, easy Kommo-o. I love Kommo-o. It's a funny Pokemon. Steel-type Solgaleo. To be honest, Gen 7 really hit hard with the two cover legendaries. I really like Lunala and Solgaleo, so I'm actually happy to have them both on my chart. Fairy-type is an... Oop, wrong one. Easy Mimikyu. I love Mimikyu. It's basically Halloween incarnate, and Halloween is my favorite holiday. Starter, as I said before, Primarina. She's my favorite starter, like, ever. I love Primarina. Regional form. It's either Raichu or Ninetales, but I'm going to go Raichu simply because I like Psychic-type Pokemon. Legendary, Lunala. Easy. Favorite overall, though? Definitely Primarina. Gen 8. This one, I'm going to go with Indeedee for normal, simply because I need to have Galarian Slowbro in Psychic. I really like Slowbro. Quick Claw, Quick Draw, very nice. Fire-type Cinderace. I like it competitively in singles thanks to Court Change and U-Turn, but it also hits very hard with Pyro Ball and Blast Burn if you're doing a speed run in Pokemon Sword and Shield. I would advise against Blast Burn though, unless it's absolutely necessary. Water-type Urshifu, because I need to put Decidueye in Fighting type, and I need to have Urshifu on my list, because I really like Urshifu. And because I really like Cramorant, Cramorant is going in Flying. Like, these three, at first I didn't like them, but they grew on me a lot, these three, to be honest. Grass-type Easy Rillaboom. I like Rillaboom just as much as I like Cinderace, so Cinderace I do like a little bit more. Electric-type Dracozolt, I just think it's cute, and it's also very nice on sand teams. Ice-type, normally I would say Calyrex, but I honestly haven't been using it that often. I kind of want to say Mr. Mime or Mr. Rhyme, which is funny because I've never used them in an actual competitive event. But I'm going to go Mr. Rhyme because I've been using it quite a bit on Smogon singles lately, just as a way to counter teams that like to stall out with screens, because it does have an ability called Screen Cleaner. I believe it also gets Rapid Spin, so if it does, that's very nice with heavy-duty boots. Poison-type Easy Sneasler. She's my girl. I need her here. She's like the best Pokemon ever made, in my opinion. Ground-type Runaregis. I haven't used Runaregis a lot competitively, but I just like it. It's creepy. I know that's probably not the best reason to like a Pokemon because it's creepy, but, I mean, Mr. Mime right there, people don't like him because he's creepy, but I like him. Bug-type Orbeetle. I've actually been using it quite a bit in my Pokemon Sword playthrough using only Psychic-type Pokemon, and it's been doing me very well. The biggest struggle was maybe against the Fire-type gym, just because I didn't really have any good counters for it, but besides that, it's been doing very well. Oh, and Pierre, I think his name was, he was also a very difficult gym, to a degree, because Dark beats Psychic, and Orbeetle isn't exactly the fastest. Rock-type. So, I'm torn here. I like Stonjourner in raid battles. I like Kleavor in competitive singles, thanks to Stone Axe and U-Turn. I like Hisuian Arcanine in double battles because of Intimidate, as well as access to Flare Blitz and Rock Slide. I have Arcanine up there, though, and I use the Cantonian form more than the original, so I think I'm going to put Kleavor here. Again, it's a really tough call between those three, but I think Kleavor should get this spot. Ghost-type. Ooh. It's either Calyrex Shadow or Typhlosion. I'll come back to Ghost. Dragon, though, it's an easy Dragapult. Dark for Grimmsnarl. Steel has to be Hisuian Gudra, because I just really love Gudra. Fairy is Hatterini. Starter is Cinderace. Regional form is definitely Galarian Slowbro. Now, the reason why I have to decide between these two in particular is because if I don't put Hisui and Typhlosion here, it doesn't get anywhere on the list. But if I don't put Calyrex here, it also doesn't get anywhere on the list because out of the Gen 8 legendaries, I like Urshifu the most. I used Calyrex a lot, though, competitively, whereas I've never really used Typhlosion outside of my first playthrough of Legends Arceus. So I'm going to probably do something stupid and put Calyrex Shadow here, just because out of everything that was Ghost type, I've used it the most in this generation. Favorite overall, though, Sneasler. It has to be there. She's my girl, as I said. Ooh, I gotta scroll down a bit. Gen 9 normal type, Freddy Fazbear. I know it's Ursaluna, but I call it Freddy Fazbear because, I mean, look at it. It's Freddy Fazbear. Fire type, easy Cerulege. I like Cerulege a lot. Ogerpon for water, just because I've used it a lot competitively. I also liked the Ogerpon story from the Teal Mask, but the main reason she's here is because I really like her competitively. Follow Me with her grass typing and ability Water Absorb just basically means your team is immune to powder moves as well as targeting water moves. You are still weak to like spread moves like Surf and Muddy Water, I think. I don't know if that hits multiple targets. But yeah. So that's pretty much the main reason why she's here. I've used her a lot competitively. I actually pair her a lot with Incineroar whenever they're legal together because that's actually a good pair, to be honest. She's grass and water, he's fire. They literally have the grass, fire, water core in just 2 Pokemon. Grass type, easily Meowscarada, my favorite starter of Generation 9. Electric type, as much as I like Palmont, I'm going to go with Iron Hands. I've actually used it a lot competitively, especially on Trick Room teams, because I really like Trick Room. Ice type, I do like Bundle, but not as much as Satitan and Chien-Pao. And Satitan is more of a recent favorite of mine because I actually tried it out, and I've been enjoying it a lot. I just don't know if I like it more than Chien-Pao. But honestly, I think I might put Satitan here for now, but I might change it to Chien-Pao. Fighting type, Tauros, water. I just really like Tauros, but I couldn't pick it over Eevee because I really like Eevee. Poison type, it's either Grafaiai or Pheasantipity. I think, though, I'm going to go with Pheasantipity. Ground type, as much as I love you, Clodsire, I kind of want to go with Ting-Lu. I know it hurts Trick Room teams because, you know, it reduces special attacks so Armarouge gets weaker, but that's not why I like it. I like it because if you give it an Assault Vest, it can reliably run Fissure and Stomping Tantrum. So it just makes good use of its overall bulk, and then you just need to pair it with a Pokemon that can constantly heal it up. Flying type, Iron Jugulis. It's got Booster Energy, Tailwind. It's gonna go here because it's just a nice Tailwind setter. Pairs nicely with Shiftry if it was still legal. Psychic type, easily Armarouge. Probably the all-star of my Trick Room teams as of late, more than Hatterene, just because the fire typing hits the steel type that Hatterene can't normally touch. Bug type, Spidops. I actually caught a shiny one on my birthday, just because I really wanted a shiny Spidops. Simply because I really love Spidops. It's maybe my all-time favorite bug type, except maybe Wurmple. It's kind of a mix between Wurmple, Orbeetle, and Spidops. Rock type, easily Garganacci. I have to put Garganacci here. Anyone who knows me knows why Garganacci's got to go here. I know it's Garganical, but Garganacci sounds funnier. Ghost type, Fluttermane. I really like Fluttermane. She's adorable. Also, Ghost Fairy is a very nice offensive pairing. And on a Sun Rune team, she makes for a good Speedy, special attacker under the sun. Dragon type, I'm going to say Roaring Moon. I really like Roaring Moon. It was actually a Pokemon I pair very frequently with Fluttermane on the Sun teams, simply because it sets Tailwind up and it has nice defensive synergy with Fluttermane. Dark type, Kingambit. I really like Kingambit, again for the same reason as Pawniard. I grew up playing chess. Kingambit, it's literally chess incarnate. It's literally named after the most strategic play in chess, known as the King's Gambit. You can look it up yourself. I'm not going to put the definition on the screen. Steel type, Goldango. I love Goldango. I love pirates. I love the Pirate of the Caribbean movies. I love One Piece. Goldango, it's literally a pile of gold, which pirates love gold. I'm putting Goldango here. Fairy type is tough, because I really like Doxman and Tinkaton. It's one of these two, but if I had to choose one, I would say Tinkaton, just because I have used it more competitively. Starter, Meowscarada. Gimmick form, Tauros. Legendary, Ogerpon. Favorite overall? It's very difficult. It's either Ogerpon or Armarouge. I've used Armarouge a lot longer since Scarlet and Violet, but one of the last teams I built before the banning of all Legendary and Paradox Pokemon was actually like Ogerpon and Incineroar, alongside Mienshao and Calyrex Ghost and Indeedee and Sneasler. It was actually a hyper-offensive team that didn't really use Trick Room. So I think I have to go Ogerpon. Before I do this bottom row, I am going to get this bottom section done, excluding the team that is going to be saved for last. Favorite regional bird? It's Hoot Hoot. It's one of my favorite birds. Mammal, the god Bidoof. Bug type, easily Wurmple. I like Tarantula and Spidops, but I think I had to put Wurmple here. It's, like, very nice. Pseudo-legendary, easily Goodra. I'm gonna put Pika-Bell for Pikachu clone. Evolution, it's Glaceon. No question. Fossil, Dracozolt. I really like Dracozolt. Regional form, Galarian Slowbro. Gigantamax, Eevee. I know it's an odd pick because its G-Max move isn't that good competitively, but I've actually managed to make it work, just not at all times. Favorite baby? Mime Jr. It's literally the only baby Pokemon on this list that is actually classified as a baby Pokemon. Box Legendary, Lunala. I love the nighttime, I love the moon, I love Pokemon Moon, and I love Lunala because of all that. Mythical Pokemon? Darkrai. Favorite movie of all time is The Rise of Darkrai. Ultra Beast, Pheromosa. She's literally the only Ultra Beast on this, since apparently Lunala and Solgaleo don't count, even though in the games it states that they are Ultra Beasts. Favorite Paradox, easily Fluttermane. Favorite type overall, Psychic. It's my all-time favorite type ever since I started playing Pokemon. Favorite Pokeball? I'm actually going to say the Heal Ball. Mainly because I've been doing Nuzlockes a lot lately, and this comes in handy a lot. Especially in gens like 6 through 9, when you can actually choose to add the Pokemon to your team instead of sending it to the box. Vivian, the one that's standard in Paldea. I just really like this Pokemon. Alcremie, I never really liked Alcremie for the most part. I mean, I like her to an extent, but not enough that I would go out of my way to actually use her on a team. But I'm going to go the Strawberry one, because I like strawberries. Favorite new evolution? Sneasler. I really love Sneasler. Now then, for each type, this one will be a bit difficult for the all-time, because I literally got to choose between my favorites from the past 9 generations. Does it actually pull it up here if I go down there? Nope, I actually have to scroll down. So, normal type overall. As much as I like these three, I wouldn't say they're my favorites for this type. Neither is Audino or Pyroar. I've used Silvally a lot, but not too often. And as much as I like Freddy Fazbear here, I wouldn't say he's my favorite. So it's either between Eevee and Indeedee. And while I have used Indeedee more, I think I'm gonna go with Eevee, simply because I chose Let's Go Eevee, because I really like Eevee, and the fact that I have like a bunch of Eevee and Evolution plushies. Fire type, as much as I love Arcanine, I have to go Mega Charizard Y. Like, I know that's very basic, but I really like Sun teams. Water type is probably the most difficult of the bunch because I really like Primarina, and I also really like Ogerpon, so I might have to come back to this later on. Grass type, easily Trevenant. Electric type, it's a mix between Pikachu Bell and Dracozolt, to be honest. Bell, though, was locked into one game only, same with Dracozolt, so I'll come back to Electric type. Ground type, that's an easy Landorus, though. I can't argue that. And Sneasler for Poison, because I really like Sneasler. And actually, while I'm here, Primarina is my all-time favorite starter, and I really love Mega Charizard Y. So those two have to be down here. Now then. Ice type. I really like Sneasel, and I really like Glaceon. I'd say they're like tied, in my opinion, for my favorite ice type. So I'll come back to ice later, similar to how I'm coming back to water and electric later. Fighting type, I kind of want to say Mega Gallade. Again, just because I really like Psychic Pokemon. Flying type, Hoot Hoot. I like Hoot Hoot. Psychic type. Choosing out of Psychic types is always difficult for me, though, because Psychic is my favorite type. So I'll come back to this one in a bit. For Bug type, though, it's Wurmple. Rock type, easy Garganacl. It's grown on me a lot. I really like this Pokemon. Ghost type, it's either Lunala or Giratina, but I think, well, I think I'm going to go Lunala, because I really can't choose Ogerpon over Primarina, and I really want Ogerpon on this very bottom row, and I can easily pick it over Lunala and Urshifu. So I'm going to put Ogerpon here. Ooh. So let's see. Dragon type, Goodra. I really like Goodra. Dark type, I have to go Darkrai. I mean, it's my all-time favorite movie. As much as I love Incineroar, Grimmsnarl, and King Gambit, I just really have to go Darkrai. I can't use it competitively, but it's just my all-time favorite Dark type. Steel type, I'm not entirely sure, so I'm going to come back to that. So I'm going to go through these that I had to come back to one by one. Electric type, it's literally a toss-up between Bell and Dracozolt, but I think I'm going to go Dracozolt just because I think it's cute. Ice type, I really love you, Sneasel, but I kind of want to put Glaceon here. It's a tough call, but I think I'm going to go Cresselia simply because I love Trick Room teams a lot. Fairy, I am going to go with Hatterene. Steel. It's really a toss-up between Bronzong, Goodra, and Metagross. I think I'm going to go with Hisuian Goodra, just because I like Hisuian Goodra a lot. I was also tempted to put Galarian Slowbro here, but I've just used Cresselia a lot more. There's history there. For my favorite Pokemon of all time, though, overall, it's Sneasler. As I really like the Sneasel evolutions, and Sneasler is by far my favorite of all of her different evolutions. So I'm perfectly happy putting Sneasler right there. Now, if I had to choose a team, I would say Ogerpon. Well, actually, I'm gonna put Armarouge, Indeedee, and Sneasler as my Psychic Terrain core, since Expanding Force benefits from it and Unburden benefits from it with the Psychic Seed. I am then going to put Ogerpon and Incineroar because they have good synergy with the team overall. Fake out Parting Shot to go into Indeedee after setting up Trick Room, as well as Follow Me with Water Absorb, again to protect Armarouge from setting Trick Room. So the only thing I'm missing is like a speedy special attacker, so I would say Calyrex Shadow. So yeah, I'd say this is my list overall. I'm actually perfectly happy with this list, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want me to do another chart of this, but with my favorite shiny of each type per generation, feel free to comment that in the comments below. And I hope all of you have a wonderful day.